Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Jeff, and I've got Tom with me here again, and we are recapping tonight's Mastery Chat. And man, what a great one! We were both, I think, excited for the topic. We talked about it earlier on about it being excited about the technology focus and the list and everything like that. And I don't think it disappointed. Tom, you got to tell us now. First chat ever, and it was a Mastery Chat that you moderate. How you feeling right now?
I think what Newman said on Seinfeld, the mail never stops. That was a lot, but it was, it was, and there were some people who I've encountered on Twitter in my PLN before, and a lot that I had never. And I just love hearing. I think when we're on social media, we're all kind of in our like little boxes and little like circles and whatnot. And it was just nice hearing from just regular teachers who maybe I had not come across before, just some of their thoughts on what goes on and with this stuff. So that's
one of my favorite parts of Master Chat, I think, is when we see or hear about the teachers that connect with someone who they hadn't come across on Twitter before, because they weren't in their typical group that they follow or whatever, and then they get connected and they find that there's some sort of connection either in geographical or the content area or an experience they share, an answer they share, a passion that they have, and then these relationships form. We've seen that actually turn into then like collaboration and stuff like that, and it's like the coolest thing in the world to know that that's coming out of there. So I was this was a great chat. It went fast. There's a lot of people on it. I think people were really excited about the topic and very into it. Was there anything, and I put you on the spot here, so like it's okay if you can't, because there's a lot of answers. But were there any answers that you can think of right now that stood out throughout the entire chat that really like either surprised you or got you super excited?
Well, toward the end of the chat, someone, I think they may have revisited an earlier question. They I think I asked about what students love to do with technology. And one of them said, and I think they were just answering very honestly, they love to play games and watch videos. And that is so true. That is so true. When you think, especially, gaming is, obviously the younger you are, the more likely you are to be a gamer.
Sure.
But it's just, it's so, like, it's just become such a part of our culture.
Yeah.
And same with video and same with you. This Saturday, or not, a couple weeks I'm doing a session. It's on YouTube, right? So YouTube's become such a big thing. And so my thing about that is just like, just roll with it. I don't know that this teacher was saying it in any way expressing frustration. I know that I've heard teachers express frustration with kids playing games before. But to me, it's kind of like, okay, that's your audience. So what are we going to do from there? Right?
Yeah. How do you tailor what you're doing to fit what they like? And one of the easiest ways is be on that same platform, be on that same medium that they already love doing. I actually do, I do a session where I speak on social media, and I always say, like, it's not, I'm never telling anyone that they need to be on social media, but I'm telling them that they should consider it. And my argument is pretty simple. Everyone's already on it. Your kids are already on it. So why can't we, instead of trying to villainize it, let's put the right stuff in front of them when we can, and see if we can't use that medium or those tools that they already know how to use, and use it for good, good versus evil kind of thing. So
I once had a teacher who a kid took a picture of them and then put it on Instagram or some social network, and the actual post was so complimentary and flattering, but this teacher felt like their privacy had been violated.
Sure. Yep.
And it's obviously you kind of like try to talk someone down and like empathize with what they're feeling and honor what they're feeling. Yeah. At the same time, in the world of the kids, the kid had just paid this teacher such a sincere compliment, but that's just, I guess that's just when you have different generations and
there's a disconnect there sometimes. Yep. Absolutely. So I took a lot of screenshots of answers here, so I'm going to throw a few out.
Okay.
Question number 1 was, in what ways can using educational technology be a challenge? Deborah Hake, I think her name is, she's Ms. Deborah Hake. It's Ms. Hake 418. She said just straight up one word: accessibility, which is still something. It's crazy when we go to, we get to work with schools and teachers all over the country. And it's interesting to me when we go to some schools and they have one-to-one technology, whether it be fancy technology or just the basic one-to-one type stuff. And when we explain that we work with teachers that have zero technology, they just can't believe it. It's just like unbelievable to them. But the fact is, we're still not there yet. It like one-to-one is still not like just the thing that all schools are. There are a lot of schools that deal with not having the ability to have individual pieces of technology, whether it be Chromebooks, iPads, whatever. And there's some schools that have like barely anything. Like their cart doesn't even consist of much. So there's still a lot of accessibility issues there too. Are you one-to-one where you're at? Have you come across any of that? Is that an issue for you at all? Or
so we're one-to-one at my school with iPads.
Okay.
And we're middle school, so that's a unique situation because you don't have a keyboard, you don't have a full desktop router.
Yeah.
And it's just obviously I'm thinking more about what the cases that you just shared with me. We're not, one-to-one with iPads does not mean you're hurting, does not mean you're in any kind of bad situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But of course, I think I and the teachers and the kids are like, that full desktop browser, Chrome extensions. You could always want more.
Sure, yeah, you always want more.
I think life is just full of technology at this point, so it's just really hard. It's hard for me to envision going back and saying, okay, everyone get out your notebooks.
Yeah, it's crazy, but hopefully more and more schools will move there, and we can continue to grow that and be there. So. Yeah. Our good friend Stella said, for me, it was trying to do too much too quickly and just assuming the students knew how to use the tools. So that's a good tip on that's definitely a potential challenge. Linda, our friend from up in Canada, said you can't keep up with all the technology. You just have to pick your go-to apps and keep up with them. And that's true. Like you were talking, like there's technology everywhere. It's moving so fast. It seems like there's 50 new educational technology apps out there every day. So I think a challenge can definitely be being a little overwhelmed, trying to figure out, okay, like why do I like all these things I have to use? I think, and I'll get your thought on this. My thought is if you flip it and go, okay, I'm not just going to use these new technology tools because they're here, but rather what am I trying to do? And now let me go find the tools that do that, which can still be a tough choice because there's a lot of them. But I think, how do you deal with it? Do you feel like, do you have that? Do any of the teachers that you work with, do they deal with sort of an overwhelm of what tools should I use? There's so many out there, I don't know what to do, or?
Yeah, I think
sort of your role to kind of help them with that, right? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, a few things about it. If it works for you and if it's easy, like any tool that you use should just be done. It should just be easy. I'll give you an example. Okay. So there's a great iPad app called Metaverse. And at the very end, one of the teachers on this chat said, I was proud of what my kids did with Metaverse. And I replied, Metaverse is no joke. You should be proud. I, as a tech coach, would not go to a teacher and say, hey, have you thought about using Metaverse for, an exit ticket? Because it's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
So to me, the apps should be, anything you use should be something that flows for you, that should not be hard for you to learn. And the other thing I'd say is, honestly, think about your friends outside of education. Would they either say, oh, yeah, I do that with regularity? Like an app for example, Canva. People outside of education use Canva all the time.
Sure.
Or would they say, hey, that's really cool. I'd want to be in school for that. If it meets those two, one of those two tests, you might want to consider using it.
And so that test there is to figure out, like, okay, are we teaching or are we utilizing technology that's actually even more so preparing them for life outside of the classroom because it's being used by regular people. So they're more likely going to be using something like that when they get into the real world. Yeah. I love that. Dr. Adam D. Drummond said the biggest challenge he sees is when the pedagogy is left behind, basically making the technology a toy. And I think the biggest thing that you were just touching on too is like, it's got to work for you. And I think it's got to meet the needs of what you're trying to do. It can't just be, there's a new technology tool, so I'm going to, put it in place. Like you said, it's got to come to you. It's got to feel good. It's got to be done. It's got to make sense for what you're trying to do in your room. So that's good. There's Rochelle. Hi, Rochelle. Hi, Katie. Hi, Rochelle. See, which by the way, just to shout out both Katie and Rochelle coming to the Teach Better conference in November, both presenting. Super excited about that. Love seeing what my students create with Metaverse. They're so quick, though. I learned from them. Yeah, I love that. I saw a lot of that too. I don't know how much I screenshot with different spots throughout the chat tonight of teachers talking about what they what they like most is when they see their students learning faster, and then the students teach them, which I think is a really cool thing, a chance for them to lead like that.
And can I just say about metaverse, to Rochelle's comment, if a student wants to create a VR experience with metaverse to demonstrate they know a concept, encourage that. That's great. Give them plenty of choice, and that should definitely be one of the choices. I'm saying in my role as a tech coach, I'm working with people who are pressed for time,
Sure.
So something that's a little bit more intricate, I'm not going to say, hey, have you thought about this? No, I'm not going to, that's my point there.
Gotcha. So Kyle, I'm going to mess his name up. Sorry, Kyle Sapita, I think. He's EduLeadLearn, at EduLeadLearn. He said his challenge is support is a challenge. Supporting devices, supporting apps, supporting teachers at different levels, supporting diverse students. So this is something where I'm sure you've come into challenge too. So what's something that you do? Have you first off, have you found the challenge of I'm focusing more on the supporting teachers at different levels of understanding tech? You touched on earlier about like the gap and that generations can have. We see that a lot in technology. So have you found, do you have an issue of teachers that are just very different, in technology levels as far as their understanding, where you're trying to help them get into things? Has that been an issue that you've come across?
I think that happens across the board. And I think part of the solution with that is you're facilitating the use of tools that are easy to use. So for me, for example, Google Classroom, if you use Classroom for a week, you are an expert on Google Classroom. There's just no, there's very little learning curve. I personally don't know a thing about coding. Hey, it's great skill. Awesome. I don't have it. I have some basic HTML, but I don't suggest to teachers that they start, you should, if you code this app or you do this spreadsheet, keep it real, keep it practical, And I think that kind of mitigates the need for a lot of support, right?
Awesome. Kyle, thanks for the correction. It's Supeda. So, but I appreciate you jumping in on this. That's great. I think this is the first time we've seen Kyle or at least I have on the after chat. So that's awesome. So question 2 was thinking back over the last 5 years, how has educational technology changed what you do as a teacher? And this was a fun one. So I'm looking real quick here to grab some. It's Louis Oliveira says it has opened the world to my students. You touched on earlier in the pre-chat live about the expeditions and the tours and stuff like that on Google, which I think is such a cool thing, being able to take students who are restricted on where they can travel, what they can explore, and be able to take them if they've never been able to go there physically. Being able to take them in the digital world, I think, is a really cool way of still opening their eyes up to the world. You talked about how it's showing them the museum in Iraq, how this is like it's like a building just like would be here in the States and stuff. I thought that was really cool. So open the world up to them, I think, is a really cool thing. I tell the story a lot. We had a teacher, actually they met on Mastery Chat, a teacher from Toronto Skype into a classroom in Florida, and it was a young classroom. It was a high school teacher reading a book to elementary students, I think second graders. I was saying that was such a cool thing. One, just because it's cool to have someone Skype in, but this was a guy from Canada with a fairly strong accent. So these kids were being exposed now to someone that speaks a little bit differently than they do, that comes from a different country, right? That's talking about different things, and talk about opening up to the world to them. They're seeing like a completely different, this person's in a completely different country. So now we're talking about cultures and countries and languages, and he speaks a little bit of French and what's that and everything like that. I think it's so cool that technology and a lot of social media and stuff like that is allowing us to do that and expose our kids.
Yeah.
Monica says, in the past 5 years, tech has allowed me to make what I'm teaching even more visible and real for students of all ages. Much easier to have all the visuals and examples I need when they are a Google away. And visuals can be so important to making learning stick. So that's a good one there. Let's see what else we got here. John Miller said, helping students make the shift from consumers to creators of digital content. I love this. I saw a lot of people touch on that same thing, that technology has allowed them to really shift from their students just being people who just sit in your classroom and consume content that you're spewing out them to now rather creating. And we saw a lot of this in the, what's your students' favorite things to do? What's your favorite thing to do? What has made you proud? And it was a lot of my students creating this, my students creating this. I mean, Rochelle literally, I think, just used the word creates. Yes, what my students create with Metaverse. So lots of creation. So I may have screenshotted yours, but I'm going to have you share, like, what are some of the cool stuff that you've seen students in your schools do, like, on the creation side of things?
So, well, one of the ones I wanted, it was something we touched on in the intro, was the tour creator. So we had a student, 8th grade, they're doing paleontology. And so she told the story of where fossils for this one, the Mesosaurus, I think, were found. So basically, I thought that was really cool, using tour creator to do that. And, something you said reminded me, talk about student creativity. I'm going to say this right now. This came up in the chat. There's one app, I think, that can kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say suppress student creativity, but I don't think it really encourages it. And that's Google Docs. Okay. I just think there's no way your students are going to be deprived of word processing over their, K to 12 and or plus college careers. If you can move a little bit away from Google Docs and like decrease that percentage just a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually probably a good thing. Get them more in creative apps, recording their voice, making video, making art. These are the things that get me excited when kids do this stuff. And so that's what what I'm proud of, is when kids are getting artistic and creative. And, obviously it's a new thing. It's a new frontier. Being able to record your own videos, record sound with any kind of regularity and editing it. This is relatively new for if you're 45, 50 years old, this is a really short period of your life. Yeah. But that's kind of my advice, is like, try to see how you can get kids creative and like a little bit less Google Docs, please. And that's really cool. And and you touched on how it's been such a short time. It feels like it's been around. A lot of stuff's been around for a long time, but it really is. It's still very early on in a lot of this movement of tech really coming in and allowing us to be really creative in the classroom. So I like that. That's a good point. One last one here on the question 2. Lauren Weaver says, I have changed in how I use technology. My first year, I was told I should use it in a station to quote unquote fill time. I stopped using it as a time filler and started using it to engage, differentiate, give students a voice and choice. And students love it more now also. So I think that's a big shift and a dangerous piece of using technology to just fill time or to because you have it, but rather focusing on how you can actually use it to do things like engage your students, to differentiate, to give them choices, to give them a voice. Like you were just talking about all the different ways that they can express themselves that go beyond a Google Doc, that also go into the ability to record myself, record my voice, find animated pieces and put it together. We talk about, I talk about in my social media a presentation about utilizing things like, whether it be Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, of a way of explain something back to you as a teacher, utilizing stickers and GIFs and things like that, where I'm trying to use different parts of my brain and creativity to share that stuff. So here's a reminder from Kyle, reminder from a workshop this weekend. You can define the size of a Google slide to fit an 8.5 by 11 page, more creativity allowed than Docs. So you can create a regular standard size piece of paper in Google Slides and make that a much more creative document than Google Docs, is what he's saying there. That's a great point. Great point. To Kyle's point, my resume is in Google Slides.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. I've said, I've tweeted, Google has an applied digital skills curriculum. It's pretty decent, but they're suggesting the wrong tool for resumes. Google Slides is, with the exception of text wrapping, if you have an image on there, so text wrapping is a little dicey, but other than that, it is infinitely
but a little bit of tabbing and spacing, and you can wrap it yourself. Which I actually look at that as like, that's a creative problem solving. You're like, I can't wrap this text. Oh, how do I get around that? Okay, 2 text boxes where I'm going to line them up differently. That's how I've done it. You know what I mean? So that's just me. I look at that. That's a problem solving. I love that.
That's true.
Our own Ray Hewer, she uses Slides a lot for things where I'm like, oh, I thought you'd do it. Is that a Google Doc somewhere? She's like, no, it's just a slide. I'm like, oh, Gotcha. So she could be a little more creative with it. So that's a great point. Good reminder there, Kyle, or education. If someone wasn't aware of that, that's pretty cool. So question 3. Let's go to question 3 real quick and get your thoughts on this stuff. This was your top 5 list of educational apps, and I think I took way too many snapshots of this. So did you have
I had one. I can go. I can go look it up.
Right now. I'm looking here. Katie actually says Google Docs have revolutionized so much of what I do and what my students do. I wonder if Katie, if you've considered utilizing Google Slides instead. Oh, she says. Oh, she changed it. Google Slides is revolutionized so much. I'm not sure which one she wants. I think she means slides. Katie, you're confusing me. I think she said Google Slides has revolutionized so much of what she does and what her students do. That's awesome. So real quick, I'm going to go through a few of these while you grab yours, Tom. But
yeah, I got mine up. Yeah.
Lauren Cahill says Screencastify, Google Translate, Google Classroom, Google Slides, Edpuzzle. Our friends over at Floop, Christine, she says OneNote, Google Forms, Floop, floopedu.com. Give them a shout out. Flipgrid, EduBlogs. Tiffany, Techie Teacher, Mama Tiff on our team. Screencastify, Edpuzzle, Khan Academy, no surprise there from Tiff. Google Suite, just in general, and then Desmos, because it's awesome. She says, Christine, I'm never going to say your name right, Christine. Christine Ravisi Weinstein. I didn't really need to confirm how to say her name. She blogs for us over at the site, and she's amazing. But she says Gabon, Flipgrid, Google Docs, Padlet, Kahoot. Rochelle saying Nearpod, another great one. Katie is clarifying that she meant slides on that last one. Thanks, Katie. All right, Tom, let's hear yours. I saw them. I may have screenshotted them, but let's just hear them.
Well, so I'll just start off by saying I noticed that I heard a bunch of Screencastify and Edpuzzle. So if you just pretend for a moment your students had they could only access like one website and it's Edpuzzle, right? Well, you could at least like make a bit.ly, give the kids a bit.ly, send them there. It's got, you have your kids on those Edpuzzle videos. If nothing else, you're using video and you can add some assessment, both a little multiple choice if you need to just group kids real quick and some short answer. So Screencastify and Edpuzzles were my 2 and 3.
Okay.
Because they are if you're just getting started, if you're just saying, okay, Mike, we're going 1-to-1 now. We were not 1-to-1. Now we're going to 1-to-1. Those are the 2 I'd start with right away. In that
Screencastify and Edpuzzle.
Right, because you can make your own videos.
Yep.
And by the way, YouTube is full of great educational videos.
Sure.
And Edpuzzle will help you crop those.
Yep.
Google Classroom was my number 1. I also threw in Google Jamboard, which is kind of like a free-form collaboration tool in Google.
Yeah.
Google Tour Creator and Google Expeditions, those 2 are kind of married together. So by now I'm already above 5. But 2 more. ThingLink. I don't know how much you've played with ThingLink.
I have not. No, I've heard about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, and one of the nice things, especially for blended learning, is that you could throw Google Slides, YouTube, Google Forms onto a ThingLink image, and they won't open in new tabs, and you can still interact with them. So that's huge. And I just like Quizlet. I think with all this stuff where we have kids looking at digital stuff, design counts. And Quizlet is one of the most professionally designed websites. And to just say, hey, kids, you all are going to now make your own decks. You all are going to get preparing to study real world skill, something they'll use later in life too.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, even though, and by the way, Quizlet Live, and if you embed it onto a Google site, there's 5 different ways to do it. Oh, it's nice.
Now you use Jamboard. Do you have like one of the actual Jamboards?
No, I don't have one of the actual. I wish I did.
Those things look awesome, but they're a little pricey.
I wish I did.
Cool, yeah.
I'm just using the app. The app also now is on the web, jamboard.google.com. Yep. So just nice, and it saves to Google Drive, and you can assign it in Classroom just the same as you could a doc.
Okay, so you can do that the same way in Google.
Yes.
Classroom. Okay, great. Very, very cool. Stella also said Screencastify, Google Slides, Classroom, Pear Deck. I saw a bunch of Pear Deck, bunch of Seesaw, and then Edpuzzle there. Saw a lot of the same, because you get the ones that are just a little more common. Can I get this next thing to go? Let's see. Classroom. Let's see anything new. This Jamboard tour creator. Oh, that's you.
That's me.
Let's see here. Pear Deck, Quizlet. I'm trying to see if I can find any other ones that we haven't. YouTube, S'more.
I've heard of S'more.
This was from Brandon Easton. He's a principal. He said they're not all necessarily educational apps, but as a principal, great ways to engage staff, students, and parents. S'more is a good one that you can do newsletters and events and stuff like that from it. Let's see. We got some more coming in down here. Thinkland would be cool for grid development. Oh, yeah, Katie, let's talk about that so I can know what you're talking about, because now I need to figure that out. ThingLink. GimKit, Rochelle, that's a good one. And then she says she also uses the Quizlet cards. Tom, you see these when I'm bringing them up on the screen.
Yes,
right?
I do, actually, yes.
And then Kyle said definitely checking out the Jamboard. Kyle, check out all you need is the app and the web version, but check out the actual boards because it'd be really cool. Like we want to have it like for our team, but we don't, we're not there yet. Have them in like all of us have them in our offices because we're all virtual, so we're on different locations.
Right.
It'd be super cool.
I will say, if you have an iPad, you get there.
Yeah, you really don't need it. I just kind of want the big board because it looks cool. Like it's really not necessarily any more efficient. I just kind of want it sitting back there. Let's see what else we got on here. Wakelet. I hadn't seen Wakelet mentioned, but that's one. Is that one? Have you done much with Wakelet?
So Wakelet is another. It's like a curation tool.
Yeah.
And in my practice, I haven't used it. I've seen it, and I know people love it.
Yeah.
I haven't used it a ton yet, but I do see the value in, okay, let's say for whatever reason, there's all these websites I need my kids to visit. Well, bam, you throw it on a Wakelet, you have one link, you send it out to the kids.
Yeah.
And they, I will say the previews look kind of nice. Like, they think they're doing a pretty good job with the design. So yeah,
I think so. Yeah, that's one that gets mentioned every now and then on our Teach Better talk when we talk about different tools. We've seen that one mentioned a few times. Here's another one. Stella just kept posting more, I think. She said Classcraft, which is one. I know Tiffany uses that as well. Sean Wigg, let's see, he said MS OneNote, Microsoft Teams, Kahoot, Socrative, Flipgrid.
What's Socrative and GoFormative. Those are two of
mine.
GoFormative. I saw someone had something in there about Socrative. Maybe I haven't played with Socrative enough lately, but someone had said something in there about it being too premium, like not enough free.
Oh, did they upgrade that? Did they set?
They may have changed it.
It's been a while. Kim Darche says Audible, Twitter, Spotify, Keep, Digo, Diigo. I don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I think it's like a web. I think it's a little. Wakelet's a little bit like Pocket. If you've ever played with Pocket.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's another one of those tools. I could be wrong.
Andrea Hogan says her LMS, which is at AGILIX, is that Agilix or Agilix? I don't know if I know that one. Yeah. What do you guys use? You guys are Google, it sounds like.
Okay, so in my district, we have both Canvas and Google Classroom. My personal preference is Google
Why
Classroom.
Two?
Well,
so it's different buildings? Oh, so they're allowed to use it. Okay.
Or they're encouraged or wherever or it's supported, right? The word.
Gotcha. Supported. Gotcha.
Personally, for me, I think we only have so much time, and I'd rather focus on building out awesome instruction and learning the ins and outs of something. So that's why Classroom.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's look at question number 4 real quick here. What is your favorite thing to do with educational technology? Any of these that popped out that you were like, oh, I didn't see that coming?
Oh, well, a lot of people talked about, a lot of people actually went, I think, a lot broader than when I typed it. When I typed it, I meant like I love creating a website for this unit. That's what I had in mind.
Yeah.
And people were talking about equity and giving kids different ways to learn things. And so, hey, I hear you. I'm down.
Yeah, what you saw a lot of that. So like Tiffany said, it's, our favorite thing is to give students opportunity to learn at their own pace. She says when the resources, collaboration, and learning opportunities are made available and enhanced with tech tools, students have a greater control or impact. Christine said it simplifies or speeds up her workflow and allows her to give better, faster feedback. Which Stella said, turn the wheel over to the students, help them figure out how they learn best.
These people are such deeper thinkers. I'm sitting there saying the correct answer is Quizlet Live. Like
Yeah.
that's the correct answer. But okay.
Alicia Ray said, "I love it." You know, she said, "I love anytime they create using ed tech."
Right.
Laura Cahill says she loves finding the quote unquote unintended uses for an app. Make a standards-based portfolio out of Google Classroom. Used locked mode on Google Forms to build whole district distraction-free lessons. Dr. Adam Drummond said loves to allow students to create, critique, and collaborate for solutions. Here's a little more because Christine Boland said create an artifact of their choice on a topic. Group peer review or gallery walks are great. Become the expert on one piece, then collaborate on a project. Using VR. You said yours is making digital breakouts for game-based learning and problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Do you have any specific that you can think of, like an example of a digital breakout that you've done recently? Did this year, maybe?
What's that?
Maybe one you did this year?
So, the one that I did this year, the most recent one would be my Frederick Douglass. So, seventh graders, they're actually learning world history, not U.S. history at this point. And the EL curriculum is having them do Frederick Douglass's first autobiography, you know, Life of an Escaped Slave. He was 27 when he wrote it. So this is like 1845. So getting kids to relate to, have context for 1845 America, maybe not the easiest thing. So teachers came to me and one of the teachers said, well, what if we had some sort of breakout thing to kind of, so I made one that focused on Douglass's activism. You know, there was like little factual things like he escaped slavery. Because this is something I think when we do these things, we have to be very careful. You can't have the game be escape from slavery or the Underground Railroad. Like, no, not cool. Really inappropriate. But, you know, if you just make, like, to me, the game was he was trying to get the book published, and that I think it's the American Anti-Slavery Society was the publisher, and they wanted codes to verify that it was actually him turning in this manuscript. And throughout the game, you learn about his activism. He got, kicked off a train. He got pelted by people in Indiana because he was speaking about abolitionism, and they didn't like that. So it was just basically to teach about like his early years and, kind of who he was and what he was doing when he wrote this book.
I like it. That's sorry. I'm actually like, adding to my Instagram story because.
Oh, cool.
Technology, right? Sharing that. Sorry, and I was letting you go there. So let's flip it now. Let's go to question 5 was, what is your student's favorite thing to do with educational technology? I saw a whole lot of create, collaborate, communicate with each other. Some people talked about coding and staying connected with each other and stuff like that. Anything that popped out of you that maybe was something new or something you hadn't thought of? Or
so when I would actually say, when I do this, I would say, well, their favorite thing to watch. We talked about the games and the and video, but kids absolutely love it when I lead them on Google Expeditions. They eat that up. I meant to put that in the Twitter chat, and I'm sure I just got super distracted. Yeah. So, but yeah, and I get it. I think kids do appreciate choice and voice and doing things a little differently and having a chance to create. I notice they like making videos too, but you have to get them there a little bit. You can't just that's a bit of a slow. I think if you've never done that with kids before, and at the start, they might think that's very disconnected. I've heard of stories where there's like, wait, why would we do that? And like, you kind of have to like walk them there or make it more real life or more practical for them. Because sometimes I think there's kids see the disconnect and feel it between like, okay, right now we're getting, I don't know, we're listening to some videos, so we're going to put ourselves on Instagram, and we're at school, so we wouldn't make so you have to just be a little careful with that.
Okay. So some of the things, what is something your students have done with ed technology that makes you proud? I'll read off a couple here real quick. Tiffany just says take ownership of the learning. Just the idea that they take that initiative to start identifying what they still don't know and help get what they need. Christine from Fluke said that this year one of her 8th graders did her above and beyond work on a math model by coding her own free fall time calculator in Python. Sounds pretty awesome for me.
That's pretty crazy, yeah.
Brian Claft said, when they help each other learn using tech. He had a new student from Mongolia, and Google Translate was a tool many of her fellow classmates used to communicate with her and help her grow. Like, how cool is that? Like, a new student who doesn't speak the language well, and the other students are able to have that communication with them utilizing a piece of tech tool, which is really cool. So, a lot of like taught each other, connected with each other and taught each other and stuff. So Sean Scanlon, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, said his students connected with professionals and the outside world for interviews as they research major events or inventions. Learned how to use social media to connect in a professional manner. I love that because not only is he connecting the content to the real life things and real life people and putting faces and names to people who maybe are in those professionals, but he's also, utilizing the social media that way. He's setting that good example for his students on, hey, this is how you can use social media for more than like sharing what you're eating or arguing with your friends and family members or complete strangers. You can actually use this like in the world outside of this in a professional way, in a way to help yourself, and stuff like that. So I love that. That's a really cool one, Sean. Linda said her kids are coding their own games and all Bloxels Builder to teach people how about their district and how to help marine life in their games, and how to help marine life. She says their games are awesome. A lot of like Genius Hour stuff, hands down, seeing them develop their own passions, find new passions, and figure out new ideas, stuff. So she said there was a graduate from last night that is now majoring in her Genius Hour topic that she used to be doing.
It's really neat.
That's really cool. I love this. Coach Dye, who's at Coach Dye Jr., said the first time I had a whole class want to try and make an entire unit paperless for both me and them. And that's pretty cool. So anyway, a lot of stuff. Any of those that popped out, any of the really cool things that's happened with students in your district, or maybe the one that you saw that I didn't just rattle off, or
you know what? I was thinking about one of the responses. This was which question was this one?
This was question 6 about what makes you like something that makes them proud.
That makes them proud.
The students have done.
The thing that I've noticed actually is where they feel most proud is when they can help each other. That's to me.
That's a really cool piece.
Yeah, that's more important to me. Yeah, I remember once. This is before I was a tech coach. We were working with WeVideo, which didn't get mentioned tonight. WeVideo is a good.
Oh yeah, that's a great one that usually gets mentioned. So that's interesting that it wasn't.
Yeah, but I didn't know. I didn't know. I learned WeVideo as a coach, not as a teacher. Mm-hmm. And so I was calling my instructional coach about saying like, hey, I think we're going to need you down here to help them with something. And sure enough, student with an IEP goes to the student who's having the problem, is like, oh, let's just do this, and show that student. And I was like, oh, no, we're good. Thanks.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's like, to me, that, or maybe it's what makes me proud. I don't know.
I think that would make any teacher or coach, principal, parent, anyone proud. That's an awesome moment. So final question was what's something that you want to try in ed tech? And, I saw a lot of like, I want to see my students continue to get more active as content creators, which I think is awesome. Someone mentioned learning JavaScript. And get into that more, making Christine Boland said making more podcasts and videos that for her students as a support resource. Let's see. Laura Cahill said she's committed to getting feels like she's got behind her own like coding skills, so she wants to speed that up. Going that anything that you are working on for yourself or your district that you really want to get to in the education technology space. And
I think for my summers, I've done both extremes, like do nothing or like dive in and do some crazy stuff. What I noticed from the chat was there's a lot about Flipgrid, and I will say this about Flipgrid: it's very useful, it's very good. I think it might be a little overhyped, but it's still very good. I just sometimes I'm like, whoa, y'all got to calm down. But I did notice a few people saying I'd like to learn Flipgrid over the summer. It's pretty easy to use. You'll be very like, that's not that long a summer project. That by the way makes a good tool because it's something that's useful and sustainable for you. I have one that I want to use. I don't know if I classify as edtext. It's remixer.visualthinkery.com. And what it is just like something where you can take image and do all sorts of images and kind of do some cool stuff with them. It's a website I saw. Someone in my PLN tweeted it the other day, and I said, because I love just making like digital stuff and trying to get creative and different, but still look good with it.
Yeah.
And so that's something I meant to put that in, but again, I was probably like halfway in.
Sure. Yeah.
I was in the weeds.
If you were going, there. Candace, newbie here. Awesome. Appreciate you jumping in. She asked where she could find the questions before the next mastery chat. So she can be more involved. I've got it flowing across the bottom of the screen here, Candace. If you go to teachbetter.com/mastery chat, we list actually all the past questions. So if you want to go back and recap other ones, we also list the recap videos. So like this video that Tom and I are doing right now, tomorrow will get uploaded to our YouTube and be available. It's also obviously here on Facebook. And then as soon so usually on a Monday or Tuesday, so Monday or Tuesday next week, there'll be a post up on that Mastery Chat page. And right now you'll see Tom's face on there with tonight's chat post there with the questions. But on Monday or Tuesday, the new one will go up and you'll be able to click on that and go see all the questions beforehand, because we know some people can't necessarily get involved during the 8 to 9 o'clock hour time. So they like to schedule up their questions so they're still engaged and they come back and view it later. So we do put those out. So Candace, that's where you go to get all that whenever you want to get that. So last thing I want to do here real quick before I let you go, and we all go, we do have our Teach Better conference happening this November 8th and 9th here in Northeast Ohio. I'm putting it across the bottom of the screen here, teachbetterconference.com. And there's a discount code special that I literally just created before I came on to this with you, Tom. If you use the discount code Mastery Chat at checkout there, you can save $50 off either of the 2-day registration options. So hopefully some folks that are participating in Mastery Chat or watching this video will come and hang out with us in November. Tom, man, this was awesome. Great chat. I can't believe it was your first chat ever, let alone, your first Mastery Chat was the first one. I thought you did an amazing job. I saw you constantly on there. You were engaging and answering back with people, which can get really crazy and tough to do. So bravo to you, sir, for handling it so well. And we appreciate you being on, man. Any last words from you?
Well, thank you. No, it was really an honor to be invited, and it was a really cool thing. And whoa, yeah, you have too many people doing this. Too many people are involved.
It's grown. I can still recall it's only about 2 years ago when we started it, and it was literally just basically 3 or 4 of us and like 1 or 2 other people. It was, I think the first chat we had like 7 people in it, and it's grown really well, and it's an awesome PLN. Like we're really fortunate to have and to be able to be a part of it and stuff. And now super glad that you're a part of it and that you were able to lead us tonight, man. It was awesome.
Well, thank you. And thank you to everyone who participated.
Yep. And we will see you all back here for Mastery Chat next week. Same time. We'll be here live just a little bit before 8 o'clock Eastern time. And then obviously chat is at 8 o'clock. So we will see you all then. See you guys.